Welcome to Getting Back Up, where grief meets growth.
Two men, two fathers, and one shared journey of rebuilding.
We're talking about life after cancer, love, loss, and everything no one tells you.
Well, let's get into it.
Jamal, so how was life with Janice before? How'd you meet? Give me the background.
Yeah, so we actually met. We met at work. My first job out of college, we had a crew of young professionals from HBCUs and inner cities where they kind of did a lot of recruiting, and we all kind of hung out together during lunch and after work sometimes. And Janice was a little older than me, but she still rocked with us. She still hung out with our group, and she had like a nice swagger, nice little sexy thing, and I had seen her probably a few months before I actually started hanging with the group, and we kind of made eyes, and I was like, okay, a little Dominican looking thing, Indian. I don't know what she is, but she's she's cute. And fast forward, I had an intern that was working for me over the following summer, and we were at the table, and they ended up having like this little exchange about age. So a 20-something-year-old, a college kid talking to a older woman about age is not going to go.
Oh, no.
Yeah, and she might have just been like late 20s, or kind of approaching late 20s. So yeah, it wasn't a good conversation for him. But I was his manager, so of course it wasn't a good conversation for me. So I went back to my desk, and I'm sitting and doing some work, and I get a little pop up for the IM at work saying, like, you need to get your intern under control and teach him how to respect. And I'm like, okay, hello. But on the other side, I'm like, ooh, that's a good icebreaker. Okay. So, I'm going back and forth with her girlfriend, her office mate was also chiming in, also hitting me, sending me messages separately. And then it was in good humor. It wasn't out of any hostility or maliciousness, but it was all in fun. So, I mean, that was the icebreaker.
Okay.
And then, after that, we started hanging out, kind of friends, casually, and it just evolved. We had like I said, we had like a really tight knit group. So somebody was always throwing a fight party. We were always meeting up. We were in
boxing. So
boxing, boxing fight party, and we were downtown. We were close to New Brunswick, New Jersey, near Rutgers University. So we'd all kind of gather there and go to different bars and socialize. And over time, me and Janice just kind of hit it off, right? And I think because she was older, she was more mature than a lot of the other women who I had dated or was dating, and it was different. Like, it was honestly like, wow, like she's got like a different vibe about her, a more mature vibe. But come to find out, she was also divorced and had a kid. So even though she was only 3 years older than me, she was much older than me and lived experience.
Right.
So
that's what you were attracted to.
Yeah, I think that's what I was attracted to.
Yeah.
This more mature, and she had her own nice place. She took care of her stuff, and
were you thinking about long term?
Not at all.
Marriage.
I'm in my. I don't even think I was 25 yet. Right. So I mean, I'm
still driving your Millennia.
Yeah. Puffy told me. Sorry, no Diddy, but Diddy told me go get the Millennia. Right. He said, "Who ride Millenniums?" I do. I'm going to get it.
There it is.
So yeah, we had that, and so I'm out dating. I'm in the city all the time, and it was just it. So I didn't plan for it to be this thing. It was kind of like, oh, she's she's hot. Like, let me go see what's going on.
Yeah.
And then next thing you know, I'm meeting the family.
Wow.
And this is over the course of like probably a year or so, but we just kind of dated, hung out, and then she was divorced, so she honestly was like, I'm not trying to get into anything serious. Let's just hang out. And I'm like, all right, cool. I'm good. That works for me. And then until it was like, hey, like let's make this thing official.
And so then you get engaged, and
it took longer, honestly. Yeah, I mean, we so I think the thing that really, besides, like I said, she was more mature, I was also at a kind of impasse in my life. Like I was about to quit my job, right? Because I was like, I want to go do my MBA full time. Go, maybe I'll do this. I wasn't really happy with what I was doing with my career, with work. So I was kind of like thinking, and then like my job was like, hey, like we're doing layoffs, and my boss was like, do you want a package? And I was just like, yeah, this is perfect. So I did that, but the downside, I ended up moving back home. Right, I'm in my parents' basement in Queens. I'm feeling like I'm back in high school. I'm now, past 25, and I'm like, this is some BS.
This ain't it.
Right, this ain't it.
Yeah.
And I'm trying to date, and women are like, oh, you live at home? Oh, that's nice. Oh, you doing your MBA? You're going to be doing your thing when you finish, right? And I was like, okay, this is not work. This is feeling like it's chipping at my ego. I'm 20 something. The millennia can only take me but so far, right?
Sure.
But in contrast to like my experiences with other women I was dating, Janice would be like, oh, come out, come, what are you doing this weekend? Come out and hang out. We go here and I'll cook you dinner. And I'm like, oh, this is nice, right? So there was this element where she was very supportive, but it was also like she allowed me to get away, and I kind of enjoyed it because she had like a really close group of friends, which I did too. But I mean, they were like family, like they were always there, always funny, always drinking. Right, so there was always like
and you didn't always have to be paying,
and I didn't always have to be paying. I'm a
good situation.
Yeah, I mean,
at that point,
I'm
economically,
a student, right?
that might work.
I'm a student. Yeah. I'm consulting, so I'm making a little bit of money, but not like baller money.
Yeah.
So that was like how I think we strengthened our relationship, and then how we kind of moved past that into like an adult. Jamal is now an adult. Is when I finished school, I'm looking for jobs, and for me, I'm finished my MBA. I'm like, I'm willing to go anywhere.
Yeah.
Right. And she's looking at me like, what do you mean you're willing to go anywhere? What about us? And I think that was kind of like, oh, okay, like this is like, you can't just make this independent decision, right, about what life is like next. One, she has a son too, right? And I've grown closer to her son. I'm helping coach his teams. Like I'm in, right? And we kind of built this relationship where I was integrated into her life, particularly her son's life. And because of that, I was like, well, I can't just make kind of these like selfish decisions.
Yeah.
So I ended up thankfully getting a job locally, same, not far from where she lived, so it worked. And then, I get my job and I'm like, okay, I'm gonna go look for my apartment. She was like, what do you mean you're looking for an apartment? Why would you look for an apartment? We've been dating for 2 years. Like, where are we going? And now, so then you get those like, oh, this is how relationships move forward sometimes.
Yeah.
For better or for worse. Like, like, did I feel like I wanted to move into an apartment or in with her at the time? No. But then I'm looking, I'm like, wait, how much am I going to be making out of this? And I got to pay this debt, and I got these expenses, and now I got a Range Rover because I don't know why I have a Range Rover fresh out of my MBA, and I'm like, I got to pay this, and I'm looking at my bills like, yeah, you can't do that.
Yeah.
But it was also like I did want to move forward in a relationship, and I actually looked and said,
it wasn't a material thing at all. No,
but it was
this maturity that you were now kind of displaying.
Yeah. So that's how we moved into like the formal relationship, and we started. I mean, we you live together, it's life together, right? And
so there's so much about her you were to which you were attracted.
Oh,
That
yeah.
She, of course, looking good works very well. However, she's solid.
She's solid. She's
has some vision.
Yeah, she's
about
solid. She's
what y'all
vision.
could be.
Yes,
And yeah.
And I think it those are things at the time. There was a little bit of me that was like, man, like this feels good being able to progress in a relationship toward these things, right? Feels good with being with somebody who's actually like we're talking about the future. I didn't realize at that time, to go back to what we talked about earlier, the challenges of the marriage. Now I'm knocking on 30. I didn't realize that, oh, okay, there's some baggage that has presented itself on the doorstep. And
There were red flags.
And I think, like, my parents are still married. My parents have been married my parents have been married over 50 years.
Yep.
So there was a part of me that's like, Jamal, like, yeah, these are red flags, but you got to fight for this, right? You got to fight to make it work. And you're going to, and they weren't massive. They weren't these massive issues, but I think those were elements of like, okay, yeah, I'm going to do right by her because this works. And she's a good woman and she's beautiful and she's amazing mom and like all of these great things. And after a while, you're like, yeah, let's get married. Let's do this, right? And that was the process for me of like just kind of going through that and kind of getting through those different steps of what took us to the point where we became like a couple. And like I said, like she had amazing friendships, and I loved that she friended in a community, in a community capacity. Right. It wasn't just like, oh, I don't mess with this person. She had like this, this love of her friends, and her friends loved her. And when we started dating, they loved me. Right. And that was like this. It was a really cool experience to be part of that, especially in a part where I'm also transitioning into becoming a man. How did you meet Nalani?
This goes back a little bit.
Yeah.
I'm going to really date myself in this story now. So I was calling a friend of mine. She has a StarTAC Motorola. Okay. He didn't
even say a Razor. He said the StarTAC.
No.
Okay.
That was years later. So she's in the car, this friend, and we were just catching up, and she was dating another friend of mine from school. Just catching up, and we're just talking about dating and different things. And she was asking me about me. I said, yeah, I'm seeing different people, nothing really exciting. Oh, well, I have somebody for you. I said, oh, really? Yeah, she's in the car with me now. I said, oh. And so we were both kind of, oh, all right, let's. And so it was awkward.
Yeah.
And whatever. So we kind of ended that conversation. She said, before she did, she said, you should meet my friend Nalani. So I got her name and everything. And Nalani, the name threw me off. And Nalani, okay, all right. So she was just saying that. And what we decided then is Nalani wanted to meet me.
Right.
So I scanned some pictures, Jamal. Our friend who's going to come on this call, I should say on this one of our episodes, she's the one who helped me remember that I actually scanned some pictures at work and then emailed them.
Oh,
okay.
Man. Yeah.
So not text and
selfie. I don't know if StarTAC had
a
phone.
We're talking. This is before computer love, as I said, and Tinder and Bumble. None of that. And so I did all these pictures. Now, you know me, man. So I'm trying to be more like a Renaissance brother a little bit. Yeah. Because all of my interests, because I grew up in a couple of different places out East Coast and then mostly West Coast.
Right.
And so I'm skiing, I'm hiking. And I also play the cello. Right. All right. That's how someone said, A, you've got talent for this. And B, look, you can get a scholarship. it's gonna be paid for. I'm
You
like,
play
"All right,
that.
let's do that.
Play that ball or play that cello.
That's it. Right. Ball wasn't a choice for me, unfortunately. I was not very good. So I like to play.
Yeah,
You know,
yeah.
but I was more like a soccer guy.
right,
But
yeah.
anyway, so I sent these pictures of me playing cello and then up on some mountain somewhere.
You sent that cello.
Yeah. Yeah,
You
brother.
okay.
Yeah. So I sent that. Naturally, she thought I was corny.
Okay.
But
Yeah.
her friends, the one we're going to have on, she said, no, you
gotta
gotta
meet
try
him.
him out.
Yeah,
You know, you gotta go try him out. So we went out. We had a full night. It was a really good night with Nolani. We were in Brooklyn.
Yeah.
Just hanging out, Joe's Pub, stuff like that.
Yeah.
You
yeah,
know.
Yeah.
We had a really full night, man, and just realized there was definitely something there.
Good chemistry. Yeah.
Yeah, and I was just really attracted to her. Back to what you were saying about Janice. All of these friends she had around her, she always met her friends where they were. Everybody had different situations,
Yeah.
and some clean and some were a little challenging. But she seemed to have the time and the patience and thoughtfulness with all of her different friends. And that is what really attracted me. Yeah, she looked good and all these other things
Yeah.
that's important, but it was just how she can meet people where they were at their life stage.
Right.
And that, oh man, that took it over for me. And also that Nolani, she really was the glue for all of her friends. And you could see that. So
Right.
as I mentioned, all these relationships she had with people, but you could see all these different people. She would spend hours on the phone with different people, whatever their situation was,
Yeah.
or go
Yeah.
to wherever that was. That,
Right.
you know, parents passing away and some of the other things, or at the time, boyfriend, girlfriend, you know,
Yep.
some challenges there, and she kind of could advise and
Yeah.
whatever and give kind of her perspective. I love that.
Yeah.
So I think that's what I really, really loved about her, for sure.
Yeah. Thank you for joining us on Getting Back Up, Finding Life After Death. If something in today's episode spoke to you, pass it on, because somebody out there needs to hear this.
For sure. We're on all the social mausoleums. So follow us on Instagram, Threads, TikTok. Mostly it will be in the form of Get Back Up Podcast.
And be sure to subscribe to us on Spotify, Apple, or wherever you get your podcast.
And remember, getting knocked down is part of life.
But getting back up, that's how we live.
We'll see y'all next time.